Hey y'all, it's Laura and welcome back to a scrapbooking process video. Now this one is using my November kit, which is a mix of a secret not secret mini kit and then my stash. And this is a great way to do old meets new, so I'm bringing in some new stuff to play with, but I'm also bringing in some stash, and that way I am still making progress with my older product as well as getting excited to play with the new stuff. So this was filmed live in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club for a challenge, and the challenge was to use photos of different sizes. So I have a 4x6 photo selfie of me, and then a series of selfies that I printed on my Canon selfie, go figure, as a photo strip. And they're just really silly pictures of me with a leaf that my husband found that had actually changed color in our backyard, which is quite rare for the South. We have a few trees that will change color, but never like the whole tree. It's a small part maybe of a tree will change color, but overall the trees don't really change color until they go brown. So it's not as nice and exciting as it is when you go a little further north in the fall. But he had found this leaf that had changed to a really pretty kind of a red, and I of course had to make really dramatic selfie photos of me admiring the leaf and being shocked by the leaf just for fun. So I have these photo strip sort of cut files that Christina had cut for me, and they were in my kit, and the majority of this collection is Stamp Market, I believe, and it's really bright and colorful, which I was very happy about because I am getting a little sick and tired of fall collections right now. There are so many browns and dark colors in fall collections, and I am getting really bored with them. So having gotten through that October kit, it's done. We moved on. I got my hip kit. It's brown. And I was like, oh no. So when I saw my Christina kit was much brighter and more color and just much easier for me to use, I just could not wait to scrap with it. So I'm going to cut out one of these cut apart pages here, and these just have some little journaling spots on them, and I wasn't sure which color I wanted to use, but I wanted to play around with them and see which one worked. I loved this painty background, and I thought it worked really well with that green paper. I've also been hearing a lot of encouragement from others that when you start a kit, reach for the colors or the papers or the embellishments that you might find tricky to use later and try to use them up front. And that way you don't get to the end of a kit and all that's left are the tricky things. You get to the end of the kit and there's still lots of stuff that you love. And so I decided to go ahead and use that 6x6 paper that was that bright green that is not really my favorite, but as a photo mat, it really helped it to pop off of that kind of a pink coral background. Now I'm going to cut out a section of this floral to use as a band across the center of my layout, which just gives me a placeholder for my photos, kind of a base or foundation for them, and I find that's a great way to get started. If you're not sure where to start your layout, this is an easy way to do that by either having a horizontal band and then building your layout out sideways, or having a vertical band and building your layout out vertically. That can make it much easier for you to just get started. So if you're having trouble finding an idea of how to map out your layout, give that a go and see if you enjoy it. Now I end up tucking that journaling spot behind the photos at the top, almost like a subtitle, but it does have a nice spot for the date, so that's where I end up using it. Now one of the other things that I really wanted to use from this kit right away are some of these green acrylic pieces, and you'll see those pop in just a minute. They're green acrylic hearts, and while I love hearts, and I don't mind acrylics, they're a fun type of texture to play with, they were quite green, and so I'm going to try to incorporate those as well because my photos have so many green things in them, because though it may be hard to see on camera, the background behind me is quite green because the rest of the tree has not changed color. So I am going to try to go ahead and use these green acrylic pieces right away, and to help kind of blend them in a little bit, I am going to use some wood veneer as well. So I decided to go ahead and use this home as my title because I actually am at home in my backyard, and we have two big giant trees in our backyard. And I often like to go outside if I'm going to take a selfie, which I try to do every couple of months, just so that I have an updated picture of myself. And there's multiple reasons for that. A, I like to squeeze myself into the scrapbook somehow, since I'm the one that takes the photos most of the time. It makes sense for me to just do selfies as a way to get myself in, and it also gives me a nice photo to use if I want to journal about something personal, then I have a nice photo to scrap. And my backyard being these two giant trees, it makes for a great background to just go out and take a couple of pictures. So I'm going to use this little banner as a tuck in underneath of my title, and I've been doing a lot of that tucking and nestling like Jen Scow does. I've been watching a lot of her videos lately, and I love the way that she nestles things in perfectly together, and I have been experimenting with that quite a lot. So I am going to put my journaling down underneath of that banner, but first I have got to fussy cut the white border off of these florals. I don't make you watch that, but I did do it for several different florals because I just don't like them. I don't love that white border. I feel like it makes them stand out too much on the page, and I actually will fussy cut the border off of those hearts as well. Now, if you need some help with fussy cutting or you're not sure where to start with it, I do have a tutorial for it on my channel, and I will try to remember to link that below for you guys so you can find it. It gives you lots of tips and tricks for fussy cutting and how to make it easier on yourself, especially if you're just starting out, because fussy cutting can give you such inexpensive embellishments. Now in this case, I'm fussy cutting ephemera pieces, but I also went back and fussy cut the rest of this floral paper in the background for future pages. And I have all these beautiful black and white florals that I can use on layouts without having to break the bank on using an entire ephemera pack of florals. And so this is a great way to have cost-effective scrapping if you're watching a budget, get extra embellishments for the price of a piece of paper. And that's hugely, hugely important to me because I do try to keep my layouts fairly economical and not put a lot of expensive pieces on each layout. That would be just something that I try to keep in mind when I'm scrapping. I don't count out, oh, this ephemera piece is worth 5 cents, this ephemera piece is worth 10 cents. No, that's that's way too detailed for me. But I do kind of keep in mind, hey, this is an expensive piece, so maybe just use a couple of this on the page and not all of them. So I did cut that one leaf into 2 leaves and then trim off the white border so that I could cluster it nicely with these other florals and these hearts. And then using a little bit of glossy accents in my fine liner bottle to attach these acrylic pieces. Now I don't use this a lot on camera, and I actually don't really use it a lot, period, but this fine liner bottle is a great way to store the glossy accents because I find the regular bottles of glossy accents tend to jam up and the glue gets very, very stuck. It dries out in the nozzle and it just becomes such a mess to use. And so by putting it in the fine liner bottle, it has a little needle that goes into the opening that keeps that way clear from the glue, and that's very, very helpful. So I'm using just a cheap craft paint pen to change the color of this wood veneer. If you have a ton of wood veneer and you're having trouble finding ways to use them, this is a great way to make them work for you. So now I have a big high contrast title and not an introduction of wood tone on a layout with no other wood pieces. And so I'm going to tuck in this little subtitle right underneath it and then add some journaling underneath of that. This layout actually came together really quickly, which I was excited about, and I am going to add some Nuvo for some detailing. Always do some scattering and splattering at the end. In this case, Nuvo is functioning as my controlled splattering as well as my scattering because it just didn't need a whole lot more. There's already a lot going on with a pattern paper background with that band of florals and with my embellishments and 5 photos. So it didn't need a ton of extra, but a little bit of Gold Nouveau goes a long way for adding a little extra detail. Bringing out my ruler. This is a T-square ruler if you're not familiar, and it will do a really nice job of helping you make straight lines for your journaling, which I need because my writing floats off into space if I don't have a line to write on. And if you're curious, that little heart that I tucked in at the top was a sticker from the bag that my kit came in, and so I always stick that onto some white cardstock and use that for embellishing because I think they're pretty. I really like those little stickers. I'm also going to go ahead and add a little outline to this band of paper to make sure it stands out as its own. And it's amazing what that little bit of an outline can do to really separate the layers and draw your attention into the photos. That is a Muji pen, by the way. I think it was Christina at Redefine Creative who got me hooked on those, but they're brilliant. They're an excellent gel pen that just smooth as can be. So this layout is just about done. I've done my splattering. Until next time, bye guys.